Category 2 hurricane force winds were observed for some areas of the Avalon Peninsula last night. We'll talk about how high the winds were, when the wind speed dies down, when it ramps up again, and what the rest of this week looks like after I thank tonight's forecast sponsor, Atlantic Edge Credit Union. Explore checking and savings accounts, loans, mortgages, and more at aecu.ca. Visit one of their 16 branches across Newfoundland and Labrador for banking that feels like home. Category 2 hurricane force winds start at 154 kilometers per hour. Cape St. Mary's peaked at 172 last night. Trepassey 171, Cape Race 162, Cape Pine 156. Sagona Island had a peak of 155 kilometers per hour. I know there was significant damage done for areas of the southeastern Avalon last night, especially in the Trepassey area. I just haven't seen a whole lot of footage or video from the area. I also know parts of Random Island. I think Petley took a pretty good pounding from the storm surge last night. Other areas are still dealing with that, and we'll talk about the surge risk as we go through the next few minutes here in the forecast. The other thing to talk about is the records that were set last night pressure-wise. I talked about how this storm was exceptional for any time of year, let alone early November. Well, Martikon Island set the provincial record for the lowest pressure ever observed in November last night of 944.7 millibars. The old record, 950.7 millibars, set in Nain on November 7th, 1987. Furthering that, the airport in St. John's measured a pressure last night of 950.5 millibars, breaking the old record of 963.1 millibar set on November 19th, 2019. So not that long ago, we were also dealing with a pretty good storm. Now, speaking of our storm, it's off in the North Atlantic right now. It's slowly pulling away. Around it, as I show you the simulated radar imagery, we're seeing areas of rain and snow in Labrador, and the rain and snow activity does persist over parts of western Newfoundland this afternoon and scattered showers elsewhere. But the low is beginning to pull away, but behind it, on the backside of it, it's still quite breezy. Wind gust pattern through today shows the area of low pressure slowly migrating away from Newfoundland and Labrador, but we're still looking at those yellows showing up there on the map, indicating winds gusting close to 100 in some areas, especially around Twillingate and up along the northeast coast. And even some areas of the south coast, Burin Peninsula and Avalon, are seeing fairly high wind speeds out there this evening still. In St. John's, as of just before 5 p.m., those winds are gusting close to 80. Twillingate still 91. Burgeo 67, Argentia 78, and Sagona Island, as of this hour, is still gusting to 113. The good news is that the wind speeds are going to come down as we go into the overnight, and they'll be noticeably slower by the time tomorrow morning rolls around. There we are, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Yes, it's still breezy, but those are gusts to 50, not gusts to 150. So a significant improvement. Now, throughout the day tomorrow, the winds will slowly back off, and then they'll begin to ramp up again as another area of low pressure moves in. This one is going to bring rain and maybe even snow to southern and eastern Newfoundland tomorrow afternoon and evening. If it was later November, December, I'd be way more confident of snow. But it's also going to bring a period of gusty winds. Looks like for the Burin, Avalon Peninsulas, winds may gust to about 80 or 85 tomorrow night, and then they'll quickly kind of ramp down by the time Friday morning rolls around. So yes, it's going to be windy again from the north, but not nearly as windy as what we just went through. Now, we are still looking at the potential for coastal flooding, even with the second system coming in. For coastal Labrador, that threat lingers into Friday with high tides. For the island, from the northern peninsula to the Avalon, we're looking at either a coastal flood statement or a storm surge warning. The storm surge warning is for Bonavista and Notre Dame Bays, and that will run through Friday. We are going to see on and off high water levels, really just coming in with high tide. So certainly keep that in mind if you have some interests along the shoreline. Now, I think the subsequent surges shouldn't be nearly as high as what we dealt with last night, which again did cause some damage in some areas. I know the breakwater in Trepassey was overwhelmed with water, waves, and rocks last night. And part of that community is unfortunately cut off for the time being, or at least that's my understanding as of this evening. Future satellite and radar will show that the activity across Newfoundland really calms down, and by tomorrow morning it's cool, it's breezy, but it's mostly dry. In Labrador, we're looking rainy and snowy as the morning starts tomorrow. Now the day starts dry enough, but notice by midday we've got rain showing up for the Canagra Peninsula, Burin Peninsula, Avalon Peninsula, and the South Coast, but just inland there's some snow. And parts of northeastern Newfoundland and southeastern Newfoundland, for that matter, may see some wet snow by tomorrow afternoon. So if you're traveling on the TCH, northern parts of the Burin Peninsula, the eastern side of the island, once you're off the Avalon, parts of the Bonavista Peninsula, especially in the higher elevated areas, you may see some wet snow. Now, is it going to stick like yesterday? I doubt it. Even on the Avalon, we may end up some snow tomorrow evening. Temperatures look like they almost are cold enough. Again, if it was a little later in November or December, I'd be way more confident that this would be snow. But the ocean's still warm. Temperatures are borderline. It's not exactly cold enough, but it's not exactly not cold enough either. We're kind of borderline. So some spots may certainly see a little bit of snow tomorrow, but most of what I think most of us see is going to be in the form of rain. And once that departs, it will set us up for a quiet-ish Friday and a quieter start to the weekend. Rainfall, we need it. Going to be significant in some areas overnight, or excuse me, from tomorrow afternoon through Friday morning. It looks like 10 to 20 millimeters plus for some areas of the Avalon, Burin Peninsulas. Look at St. Lawrence, 42 millimeters in the forecast there, and then lesser amounts as you go west and north, obviously, because that low is not going to bring the widespread precip that we just went through. All right, so for Friday and Saturday, temperature-wise, we're looking at between 2 and 8 or so for highs, coldest in western Newfoundland and on the northern peninsula, and then into Labrador along the coast. The weather does improve by Saturday, although it's still kind of cruddy, I suppose, as we go into Friday. And look at Churchill Falls and Lab West, highs well below freezing Friday, -3 to -5, and warming up a little bit as we go into Saturday. Goose Bay looks like your Saturday is going to be about 2 degrees. If you want to know what your Sunday looks like or beyond, get my app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. My next update will be tomorrow morning. I'll be tracking tomorrow's weather. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Until then, have a great night. Follow me on socials, and I will post info as I get it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe.